So the Fire Snake. The Fire Snake 70 is a missile that was added in the last iteration of the dev server before this one. But now it actually is updated and we're gonna actually test it out. It is now properly working and we're gonna check it out. So it is a very similar system to the APKWS system of the Americans, right? So basically a small rocket that became guided, right? That's the idea here. Instead of laser, this thing is actually GPS guided, and it has a heat penetrator with around 300 millimeters of penetration. So how it works is just like any other type of guided GPS missile rocket, right? Like missile, right? So you just point to where you want the target to actually be heated. So we're gonna just fly a little bit higher over here, and we're gonna just aim right there. And the good part is that you can just change the target and shoot again, and change the target and shoot again, and change the target and shoot again. Now let's see if it actually hits anything or if it misses. So as you see, it is not as precise as a laser one. See, it is missing sometimes, so I don't know. The deviation over here, it's a little bit high, I gotta say. But at the end of the day, you can basically lock a target if you want to, and you can just use it as a normal rocket, and you can just turn around and go away, right? That's the good part about this thing. And it hits the target, see? Destroying it. So it is maybe less effective than a Hydra APKWS, right? But, or the AGR, right? But it is just as good, I mean, it's much better than a normal rocket, right? You just have to learn how to use it. It is pretty interesting how it works, and, you know, you can be successful with one shot sometimes, but you gotta be really, really, like, kind of lucky with where the missile is looking, because sometimes it just, like, look at this. It's not as precise as the other one, so maybe they're still working on it. Maybe it will be more precise, because I never saw a GPS weapon that loses so much on the terms of where it's going compared to other things. Like, normally GPS is the most precise thing ever, but look at this. I mean, this hit it, but, you know, it wasn't the greatest thing ever. And it normally will just kind of miss. So, although it is very interesting, I find that it's not as precise as you might think it is. You see, for AAs, it is pretty amazing. Of course, you gotta remember that, obviously, it doesn't hit moving targets, obviously, right? So, it doesn't guide itself for moving targets or anything. So, you gotta think that, although, yes, you can get kills by moving targets, it doesn't mean that you will. And see how unprecise it is sometimes? So, I don't know if it's something that they're gonna work on, and, you know, maybe they will change or something, but look at this. It has like a spread, right, that makes you not kill the target sometimes, which is pretty weird. So as you can see, it is GNSS guided, it has an 8-kilometer firing range, and it is heat. So it is a pretty good missile. It's just not as precise as you might think. It doesn't have any type of drift speed or something like that in the file, so I don't understand exactly why it's doing that. But the good part is that you can do some interesting maneuvers with this thing. So one of them is obviously locking any target up, and you can just do, I mean, you cannot like fire multiple ones with one click, but you can basically do this, and then you turn around, and you don't need to guide the actual you know, rocket, as you see, or the missile, right? It will go where you are aiming. I think it's a little bit, you know, not, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and you're gonna need to do these kind of bursts of fire just because of the problem of the unpreciseness of this missile, okay? Another type of tactic that you can use with this thing, which is pretty insane if you ask me, you can do the same type of guidance or same type of shot that the Russians are sometimes doing with kind of like a CCRP kind of situation. But instead of doing that, you can basically just get speed over here from a far away distance. You find kind of where the target is, and you're just gonna do this. and you're gonna turn around, right? And the missiles are gonna go there, which is pretty interesting, right? So it is a very safe missile to actually use. But again, it's not as precise as you might think. So sometimes you will hit the target and explode it with one hit. Sometimes it will just not do anything, which is something that it's complicated sometimes, right? You can just stay still, actually. Then we turn around. So it's a very safe missile to use because of that. GPS guided have always had this kind of ability, right? Of you kind of being safe whenever you are using. Look at that. The first shot got the ammunition and exploded the tank, right? So it's kind of a luck thing, I gotta say, right? And of course, it does have a pretty good range, okay, guys? It has up to like 8 kilometers of range. So we're gonna test that range now. We are at 7 point something over here, 7.5. So we're gonna just wait a little bit. Let's see if we have the energy for this thing to actually go this far. I don't think he will be able. Let me just fire a couple of them. Let's see what they do, right? Because they're kind of lofty, even. Kinda, right? Are they lofting? It looks like they're lofting. Yeah, look at that. That is interesting. I gotta say, a rocket doing something like this. I mean, we had the APKWS lab there, but it's just, you know. Yeah, see? Very interesting. Like, again. Yeah, not as precise as you might think this thing should be, right? That's the main problem. But it is an interesting rocket. Gotta say, let's try it again. With the same target at 7.5 kilometers. So it's a very cool missile, but I don't know. It's just, it needs to be more precise, in my opinion, to be able to do stuff. If not, it's just almost unguided. It's in between. Look how many missiles did I fire. Holy Jesus. Look at the spread of these missiles, man. That's the thing, right? They're just spreading around. That's gonna be a scary thing when you are in a tank. But again, no kill, right? Another thing that you can do here, let me actually try to test that out while we fly a little bit. But another thing that you can do, we do have a radar, right? And with this radar, you can basically just lock it up and fire. So, for example, here, you can just lock it up and fire, right? You can try to find targets. This radar is not the greatest for that, but you can try to find targets with the radar and then try to do that. Let me try to go a little bit further away. I really want to push this missile more than 8 kilometers just to see if it self-explodes. So let's try it around 10 kilometers over here. Just to see if it works. Those light vehicles over there. Let's do this. Let's see if they actually hit a target that it's above the 8 kilometer mark. Because it should self-explode or something, right? Maybe we'll run out of battery because energy it does have. Look at this. You will get the energy to get there. And remember, it's a heat penetrator. So it doesn't care about kinetic energy or anything, right? I mean, it's not the most precise thing, I would say, right? Because it's not going for the target that I aimed. Oh, no, I aimed for that one. Sorry. Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, self-explode. So around 8 kilometers of max range. And this is the Fire Snake. Interesting weapon, but I gotta be honest, probably you will never use this thing. Why is that? Because Gaijin just added something. I already showed that in the other video, but yeah, now you can take 16 of the CM502s, and they are much better missiles than the Fire Snake. Although, it is still very cool to have this little thing. Hopefully, it gets added for more helicopters. It is a pretty interesting missile. I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and hopefully, Gaijin improve the precision of this thing because, oh my god, it likes to spread around and it's a luck RNG kind of situation sometimes. But yeah, see you guys on the next one and bye.